Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nur Irsyad. I'm from Society Security 6. So in this video, we're going to cover the basics of Git staging and its commands to control our to help us to control our submissions to the online repository or online folders by using GitHub. So we can start by asking what's the importance of using Git on a daily basis. So in a collaborative workspace, especially in IT related stuff, each team is assigned to a project and might have to collaborate at the same time in their own section. So to accommodate that type of workflow, it needs a system that somehow manages and tracks all the versions, all the changes, and all the submissions of their works back into the same one big streamline of the overall project, which is called as the version control. One of the most popular tools is called Git, and Git was developed by the same guy who invented the Linux kernel that are now mostly used in many platforms such as Android. So with Git, projects can be managed locally or offline. So it is better to integrate it with a cloud-based service such as GitHub that allow collaborators to work on the same projects at the same time in the real time. So to start, make sure you have Git installed in your machine. So in this example, I'm using Linux based platform. Windows based should be the same. By download it by download the installer from the official page, and then we can continue from there. Since I've installed it, it prompts that Git is already the newest version with 0 upgraded and 0 newly installed. And then next, you need to have a GitHub account. After you successfully create one, you can just go to the left side of your home, and then there's a button said that create new repository. So this is the page, and here we can input our repository name. Repository can be called as repo, is like a folder. So we're creating a new folder online called tutorial git staging with our custom description, and by default it will set to public, so anyone can see our projects being registered at GitHub. And then we can just simply click create repository. Okay, once it's done, we need somehow import that repository from the cloud to our local machine, so we can manage and upload files to it, and then finally put it back to the cloud on GitHub. And we can do that by simply clicking the little icon of clipboard right there, and then go back to the terminal, and we're going to use the command git clone and then the URL of your that refer to your GitHub projects. It will give us warning because since it's a brand new repo, and then there are no files inside it, because you can actually clone any pre-built projects that are ready to use, that are from someone or some organizations that put their projects in here. And then we use the command ls-la to see locally that our projects, our repository have been created locally. So this is the folder in our machine. So to understand how the staging works, we need to initially create some files to be working with. Since this repository doesn't have any files yet, here we're going to create a basic script called run.sh that just simply run hello world, and then we're going to have a readme file. So readme is essentially a text-based help that describe and tells what the content is about and how to actually run the overall projects or the overall application. So after making changes to our local repository, now we can work with the contents to understand how the staging works. So here we have a diagram. There are mainly four stage, but we're going to use push because we added GitHub in our workflow. So the first one is untracked or unmodified. So both of them means that all the files are considered either untracked because it is new to the system or the repository, or being changed by the user after a successfully commit. And then files need to be added to the next staging in order to write their versions. And the second one is modified. So it states that all the files have been logged and ready to be written in our versions of the project, and any changes that will take place after the modified stage will be back to the unmodified stage, and it needs to be tracked once again. And the next one is stage local, because in the term of local repository without adding GitHub, this is the final stage. Any modifications have been labeled as committed, so it has been successfully applied to the local projects. And lastly, push. In order to push it remotely from our local machine to the cloud, we need somehow to tell Git, the tools itself, that we wanted to make changes on this specific projects and repository. So we're going to work with the files now. So to check the status of the current staging in the root directory, we use the command git status. So for this example, I've already committed one file before. It's called install.sh, so we can actually see the difference on two previous stage, which is untracked and unmodified. Here, since these two files, which is readme.md and run.sh, are brand new, so it haven't been tracked by Git yet. So that's why it's all the color is red, and also the modified one is also red. It also tells us that we need to git add first, so we can ready to be committed on the next stage. So to start, we use the command git add to track all the files that we wanted to track. To simplify the process, we use the symbol dot to tell that we want to track all the files into one track, because each file can be tracked differently. And then if we go with the git status again, it will prompt that all the files have been turned green and are ready to be committed on the next stage. We can also undo the track to become untracked or unmodified again with the command of git rm --cache dot to to retrace all the changes. And then to finalize the staging, we're going to use git commit -m, and -m is mandatory because each commit can be tracked differently. So because we only have one commit to be worked on, we're going to comment that these changes is for resolving previous bugs. And then if we execute it, it will tell us that there are 15 insertions and 1 deletions, and then create mode for newly files that we just created previously, which is readme.md and run.sh. And then if we get status again, oh yeah, it tells that it's on the branch master. I'm sorry. Okay, we can continue. So oh yeah, on the branch master, so on your repository you can work with many branch, and that as it displayed on the first one of the previous slide, that it have the version branch. So the master, it means that we're working with the root repository directly without any branching of the projects, of the versions. And it also tells that it is ahead by 1 commit. So by default, if you push the projects, it will submit all the commits in one go. And now, after committing those files, now we can upload it to GitHub Cloud and make some changes on the remote one. To do that, we are going to use the command git push, and it will take your username and your password account, and if it match, then all the information will be displayed. And one of the one of the important one is this random string on the bottom. So it basically tells that the code or the version of this specific commits that have been pushed to the cloud. And it also tells that we're working and we're writing this data on master to master branch. So after that, if we go back to the GitHub page on the specific projects, we can see that the hash have been updated from the last one, from the recent one. And then here is the comments of the commits, which is the recent one. It's called resolving previous bugs, and by default the readme.md will display it on your home projects page. So here's the hello world, and it tells how to install and run the overall applications. And that's about it. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.